My name is Kyle Soley. I'm a partner here at Reed Smith. And with me is Yoni Fix. Yoni is an attorney here at Reed Smith as well. For those of you who don't know, Reed Smith is an international law firm with lawyers all over the world. But important to those who are listening to this, probably, is that we have the largest state tax group in the country with 40 lawyers in offices from California to Illinois to Pennsylvania to New York and DC. Today we're going to be talking about California. Today we're going to be talking about California and interest computations in California and perhaps an approach using deposits of tax to reduce the amount of interest that accrues on unpaid deficiencies. So first of all, we're going to talk about a little bit, and very little, about the accrual of interest on unpaid tax obligations in California, and then an approach in California. It may work in other states, but California's got a fairly well-developed set of rules on this for how you can mitigate the accumulation of your interest exposure on your unpaid deficiency. So first of all, really brief background about California and its imposition of interest on deficiencies. I guess really brief in the sense of it does. It does, like most states, it will impose an interest obligation on a taxpayer that has an unpaid tax deficiency. The overpayment interest right now is running range. It can be greater if you're a corporation and your deficiency is over $100,000. The issue then for taxpayers is this. The issue is if you've got a dispute with the Franchise Tax Board, which is the agency that administers the tax. You've got a dispute with the Franchise Tax Board. You know, I can assure you from personal experience, those disputes go on for a very, very long time. I've got disputes with the Franchise Tax Board that started when I was a young man, and I'm not so much anymore. I was actually younger than you, and some of the matters that I'm currently working on started, believe it or not. So what that means is during the pendency of these things, they can go on for a long, long time, you're going to be accruing interest. Right. So the question the taxpayers bring to us is, well, what do I do about that? I mean, do I just sit back and let that happen? Or do I pay the tax? And then if I pay the tax, when we finally get to the negotiation table, does it impact those negotiations? Right. Because now the Franchise Tax Board is thinking about this as a refund case. It's not thinking about it as a deficiency, and my ultimate settlement isn't going to involve me paying money to the Franchise Tax Board. So taxpayers are faced with this seeming dilemma, and we are going to talk about an approach that you may want to consider taking to address it.
So California in 2005 decided to conform to the federal rules regarding what they call a tax deposit option. Under this option, taxpayers, like Kyle said, that want to avoid having the potential accrual of interest payment that might impact the dynamic of settlement and considerations of how long before they settle for a certain amount. Now taxpayers have the option since 2005 to, with the use of a form that's on the screen now, 3577, they can now make a deposit that suspends the accrual of interest. So now 4% for the current period. And not only that, it also allows the taxpayer to earn overpayment interest. It's not much in California. It's 1% right now. It might go away, but it's still, it's something, right? And what's nice about this is that the taxpayers at any given time prior to any proposed assessment becoming final, they can get that money back. So if you decide down the line you want the money back, you're no longer interested, you do think it might impact, you're getting close to the final tax liability, you can request it back. And this provides for flexibility that is part of settlement, I think, is important to a lot of our clients.
Because the Franchise Tax Board is not going to treat it as the money that they've got and can keep.
Right.
Because you could pull it back and
right.
and they would be in a position of it still being a deficiency.
Yeah. Technically, it's not a payment of tax until, for example, if it was on the books, FTB is holding as deposit and it becomes final. Now, how do you get it back? That's where the second form that the FTB has, Form 3581, comes into play, and it serves potentially three purposes. One, like I said, you can just request the money back. Say you put in a request, you get your money back, and any interest that was earned during the applicable period that the FTB held this tax deposit. Another option, using the same form, you could say, can you take this deposit and apply it to another tax year? And the third option is, if you have a situation where you have an administrative appeal protesting an assessment, but you want now to turn it into an administrative refund appeal, you can say, please apply this deposit to the protest, and now it turns into a refund. Now, what's nice about this is, again, the flexibility, and in terms of clarity, you have, in terms of best practice, the ability to file separate payments. So if you have multiple tax years, which a lot of our clients have, with multiple assessments at issue, you are able to file different forms, the 3577, with a separate payment, and then have a separate form 3581 where you're requesting it back. That way, you take off the table any potential confusion on the FTB side in terms of we didn't know where the money was supposed to go. It gives clarity for our clients and security that their money will be returned to them when they want it returned. And that's it. It's a very simple, elegant solution for an issue that could be quite material. And when we're talking about large dollars, specifically in California, with interest rate going up to, for example, 6%.
Okay, so again, taxpayers out there that are facing a long, drawn-out dispute with the FTB should give us some thought.
Definitely.
All right, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. I hope that you take away something interesting and informative about this deposits solution for your company. Thanks.
Thanks.